Evening all, welcome to Carrow Road, where there's that familiar winning feeling again. A seventh win on the spin for Norwich. They remain 10 points clear. Watford have now moved up to second place thanks to Brentford not playing today. Their game at Rotherham was postponed due to a COVID outbreak, or at home to Rotherham was postponed due to a COVID outbreak for Rotherham. Swansea also got a late winner against Middlesbrough, so they're 11 points behind in third place. But the way things are going for Norwich at the moment, they don't really have to worry too much about the chasing pack, do they? Everything keeps going their way. A 3-0 win, a fifth clean sheet in 6 games. Timu Pukki with 9 goals in 7 games. It's just going almost disconcertingly well for Norwich. I'm sure there's quite a few Norwich fans who just are feeling a little bit uneasy with how comfortable everything is at the moment and how they're just kind of easing their way back to the Premier League. A nice little stat for you, which I worked out before the game, just in case it came off. They're now on 76 points, with 11 games remaining. In the last 10 seasons, only Leicester in 2014 had more than 76 points at this stage. They had 80 points and they went on to get 102 points. So there is the chance that Norwich could get into triple figures, and that would definitely break the club record. But let's not worry about that yet. I think that's for the end game, shall we put it. So that puts them on 76 points. That's as many as Wolves had in 2018 and Newcastle in 2017. And they were both dominant title winners, weren't they? And as I've dared to say on Twitter after the game, it does feel now, you could probably say this after Wednesday night, but I still wasn't quite there yet, but I'm comfortable with saying it now, that it does feel like they are champions in waiting, doesn't it? 76 points. I know it's not mathematical. I know Daniel Farke set his benchmark at 80 points to be absolutely sure of playoff qualification, but in the last 10 seasons the average has been 74 points to finish 6th, so they're already on 76. They are in the playoffs, they will be in the playoffs, but hopefully they won't have to go through the playoffs because they're in such a good position that now getting above 90 points is very possible. 88 is the average that's been needed to get second in the last 10 seasons. 93 has been the average for the team who's finished first. So though all those things are very much possible as things stand. And another 3 goals today. Todd Cantwell back as well. That's a nice story. After 2 games out with a calf strain, did really well too. He got his 4th goal of the season and a 4th assist of the season, setting up Pukki for one of his goals. So there were 2 changes by Daniel. He dropped Vrancic and Hernandez to the bench. He brought in Lucas Rupp to the number 10 role in place of Vrancic, and Cantwell back onto the left wing, which, given how Todd was playing before he got that little injury, I suppose shouldn't be a great surprise. But the important thing was that he didn't really look like he'd lost any of his rhythm. He looked like he was straight back into it. Lots of nice flicks here and there, and lots of nice skill, lots of work rate. There was one nice moment actually, which was sort of in front of us and in front of the away dugout almost, where Buendia lost the ball, and then it was Todd and Emmy closing down the player, I think it was Dewsbury Hall, the Luton midfielder, and with Cantwell helping to sort of dig in, Buendia nicks the ball, and then they both just scarpered up the field into space with it. And unfortunately, I think Emmy got tackled on the edge of the box in the end, and it didn't come to anything, but it just would have been such a nice moment for those to have done the defensive work and then go and create something at the other end. And that's the thing you can say for both of them, isn't it? They do put the work in, and particularly in Buendia's case, are pretty effective with it a lot of the time as well. So, a 3-0 win, 68% of possession, 15 shots, 5 on target. Luton had 7 shots and 2 on target. Should be said, though, although the vast majority of neutrals will look at this and think, Norwich 3-0 at home to Luton, what a surprise. Luton were in this game. They were very energetic. They worked hard. They really made Norwich work for this, and they did hit the post in the 7th minute. James Collins, the Ireland striker, and they just sort of caught Norwich cold with, it was similar to how Birmingham did it in the game that Norwich won 3-1 at St Andrews less than a couple of weeks ago. And they just caught Norwich cold a little bit because they really went at it with intensity and pace, and pressed hard, and they just didn't have the quality to make it count, really. And that came from George Moncur, lovely cross from the left, and Collins just gambled, chucked himself towards the back post and managed to turn the ball against the post. And Tim Krul would have been struggling, I think. Their defender Pearson stepped up as well and smashed a shot just wide from sort of 25 yards. So they were in the game before Norwich's quality starts to tell, and that's what we just keep seeing in these games, and that Norwich have the attacking quality that just means they can put teams to bed. And for so much of this season they had to grind out results, and now they're just, the confidence and the rhythm is flowing to the point where they are putting teams away as they should do. And if they continue to enjoy themselves as much as this, then they now do have the best goal difference in the division, and they will hopefully continue to build that. They just look, it's certainly a Premier League team in waiting, but hopefully champions in waiting as well. Man of the match got to be Teemu Pukki. 2 goals, could have had another couple, could have had a sort of goal of the season contender just before half time, actually, where Buendia sort of poked the ball into the box and Pukki sort of flicked out a back heel at it, and it's a sort of like a scorpion kick type thing. Would have been a little bit fluky because I think he was just reacting to the ball coming near him, but then the ball was dropping just under the bar, and Simon Sluga, the Croatia keeper in goal for Luton, did really well to tip it over the bar, and that was in first half injury time, and that would have been Timu's hat-trick. And weirdly, he's still on only 1 hat-trick for Norwich, isn't he, which was that Newcastle game at the start of the Premier League season, and he should probably have 6 or 7 hat-tricks by now, but he's now on 20 goals for the season. So for his second championship season, breaking that 20 goal barrier. He's also 5 short of moving into the all-time club top 10. He's on 61 goals overall for Norwich. If he gets to 66 before the end of the season, which, you know, with 11 games to go, you'd get pretty short odds on him doing. If he gets that 66 mark, then I can't remember the names off the top of my head who he'd pull level with, but he would be into the top 10 in 3 seasons with the club, which would be, well, to even be in contention is remarkable, isn't it? But you know, what a free transfer that man has worked out to be. And so I'll give him man of the match. I'll go 8s for Pukki, Cantwell and McLean today, and I think a few others weren't far off 8s as well. Buendia had a day where things didn't quite come off for him in the way that they have recently, but given how productive he's been recently, you can't really hold that against him. He was still really dangerous throughout. It's just he got a bit frustrated at points because things weren't quite happening for him. So yeah, Pukki, Cantwell and McLean I'll give an 8, but everyone else I'll give a 7. I think Rupp wasn't far off an 8. I think he knitted things together really well, and it's interesting that number 10 position, which is a lot has been said about, clearly with Vrancic playing there recently, and the way that Stiepermann's played there in the past as well, that it's become, the way I'm sort of describing it, as it's almost like an enabling position. Daniel described the wide roles as almost false number 10s recently, and that is kind of what Buendia and Cantwell are like, isn't it? They aren't traditional wingers in any way. They almost have free roles, but as wingers, but they have to do their defensive work as well as the traditional winger would have to do. So the central person in that role of the sort of attacking 3 is really important for knitting things together, doing the basics well, and Rupp did that today. He's a bit more mobile and a bit faster than Mario. Doesn't have that same aerial strength. That is something that he misses, but he really gets around, doesn't he? And he's tidy and he's good with his passing. Probably doesn't have that same killer pass as Mario's got. He still couldn't quite, he's still not scored for Norwich, as he still couldn't quite force it, but there was a couple of times when he came close to a sight of goal. He won 1 free kick in the first half that Buendia somehow got again. He must be good in training with free kicks, Emmy, because we've still not seen it in a game, have we? And he just curled the usual effort well over the bar, to be honest. So as good as Emmy Buendia is, if that's something he could add to his game, that would add a heck of a bit of value to him as well. But Rupp was involved in the build up to the goal, which was 12th minute. After that sort of scrappy 10 minutes, played it into Cantwell in the left channel. Good bit of skill from Todd to get the ball under his spell, and then just poke it to Pukki on his right, who then good control, shaped his body nicely, and then just smashed it into the top right corner past Lou. Gave him no chance, and from that moment it looked like the whole game had turned, and it had, and Luton were always fighting a bit of a losing battle there. They did have a sort of half chance before Pukki was denied by Sluga for another effort. but that was fairly tame. Berry looped a header to Krul, who dealt with that, and then there was a lovely counter that eventually Pookie exchanged a 1-2 with Cantwell into the box, and a bit similar to one of his chances against Brentford the other night. Just didn't manage to beat the keeper, who manages to get sort of a hand out low to it and stop it. So that prevents it being 2-0. At that point, there was another moment where Cantwell did well to control a McLean pass, which was going out, but he managed to hook it into the box. Pookie glancing header across goal, and then the big goal. 43rd minute, and a little bit of luck. Buendia's shot deflects into the box, and Pookie, good perseverance, chases it to the back post, slides in, beats the keeper to it, and pokes home at the back post for 2-0. And then, as I said, there was that spectacular chance in injury time before half time. Nathan Jones did mix things up just after the hour mark, made a triple substitution, and Luton were better. They caused a little bit of chaos without causing any real clear chances in the Norwich box, but Krul was needed for a few claims. The defence had to throw in a few blocks here and there, but then finally finished off with Emi Buendia getting his 11th assist of the season. Did really well, left Pelly and Panzu for dust in the centre circle, really spread the ball to the left to Cantwell, who then cut across the edge of the box, and Luton were tiring by this point, and you could see it, and then manages to fire a low right-footed shot into the bottom left corner, bobbles past the keeper, who maybe could have done a bit better, but Todd, he was probably a bit unsighted as well, and Todd put the sufficient power to make sure that it got past him. Should have been 4 as well, should have been an assist for Kieran Dowell, who was one of the players who got on late on, came on with Jordan Hugill, Adam Eder, Pookie and Buendia were both taken off to get a little bit of a rest. But Kieran Dowell showed some good touches, actually, which he'll have been pleased with. And he whipped in a corner, which got headed back to him, then cut onto his left and curled a lovely cross to the near post that Sorensen really should have been scoring. But he just powered a header over the crossbar, and that was it, really. And it just, from that point, obviously at 3-0 up, there wasn't much of a fight back from Luton. They knew they were beaten. They're not, shouldn't be anywhere near relegation trouble. They're well clear of those things, but they were game opposition, and Norwich dealt with them again. So now Norwich got a week. They've got a pretty much fully fit squad. Hopefully nothing picked up from today, but they've got a week to prepare for the trip to Sheffield Wednesday next Sunday, who of course got a new manager in Darren Moore, and trying to find their feet. Still very much in the relegation mix, thanks to that they had that 6-point deduction, which was initially a 12-point deduction. And the way things are going, there's every chance that Norwich can match the 8-win streak from 2 seasons ago, which is what set up the title at that point, wasn't it? But there's still games in hand here and there, Brentford and Swansea, of course, so it's not done. But if Norwich can just keep going in this sort of relentless fashion and just keep putting teams away and keep scoring the goals that they're scoring at the moment, then it's very difficult to see anyone stopping them, which is a very nice situation to be in, isn't it? Thank you very much for watching. Let us know what you thought of the game in the comments below. Pinkham.com, of course, is the place to go for all the post-match reaction and analysis. I spoke to Max Aarons after the game. A few interesting little lines from him. Sorry, I've made the mistake that I shouldn't have made there. Max Aarons, which was today's big talking point. It's now turned out that we have been pronouncing his name wrong all the time, and Max's cousin Rolando Aarons, who was with Newcastle, was on loan at Sheffield Wednesday. He's on loan at Huddersfield, and he's been making sure that people get the family name correct. So it should be Aarons, but Max, as we just spoke to him, said that he was never really that worried about it, and it just got past the point where he was bothered to say anything. But as a family, they decided, no, we should probably get people saying this correctly, because that's how we pronounce it. So from now on, it is Max Aarons. And there was a bit of news in here about him in midweek, wasn't there, about Jamaica wanting to call him up, which seemed a little bit obscure, but he confirmed that he does qualify for his dad, but he's never been contacted by the Jamaican FA, and he's not particularly looking for it either, because he's fully focused on England. Of course, he's hoping to go to the under-21s Euros later this month, which is the group stages, in which I think England's games are all in Slovenia. It's being shared between Hungary and Slovenia, and then the knockout stages are in the summer. So, he's got 12 caps, I think, for the England under-21s. He has spoken about how he wants to play for England previously, and about all that right-back competition that there is, and the advice that Aidy Boothroyd's given him and things like that. So we did also speak to him a bit about the transfer interest in January, which has reportedly been from Roma, that they had made a bid in January. Stuart Webber talked a bit about that, didn't he, in his recent interview with us. And Max confirmed that again, as Stuart had, and just said that they didn't feel it was right at the time, that he was settled, that he just wanted to concentrate on his football, keep going with the way things were with Norwich. It wasn't the right bid at the right time for them. You know, he doesn't know, and we don't know, and the club doesn't know what that's going to mean for the summer yet, do we? That at the moment it's just worrying about getting the job done, getting promotion done, and from this point you've got to say getting the title wrapped up as well. But we'll bring you all of those lines in the next few days and throughout the week. But for now, thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch up with you very soon.